There's a little thing I like to do every once in a while, and I try to. Sometimes we do these things at the beginning of a new year or a new challenge. Sometimes people will want to read through the Bible starting the new year. Sometimes just whenever we get the notion or we get the conviction or challenge ourselves, don't matter what time of year it is, to read through the Bible or get ourselves better acquainted with the Scriptures. And there's not a whole lot of times. We flip through quite a bit of Scripture on Sunday morning and on Wednesday night. But when's the last time you totally looked at the whole New Testament? That's probably been a while at one sitting. So here's the way I like to do it. I like to get a common reference. And I get a common reference, and it's one that you can find throughout most of the books of the New Testament. And you can go through and you can hit that one reference through the books, and you can put yourself in an area in each book where you can glean a lot of information about the New Testament. And of course, it's not a in-depth Bible study. It's not one of those where you're going to be able to have a timeline or a main outline of the Scriptures. But what this does, and the idea of this, is to put you in a spot in the Scripture that is common, that you don't have to sit there and say, well, where am I going to go and read? What passage am I going to turn to today? You know, maybe I don't want to read the whole book at one time. I want to jump around a little bit. Well, to do this, one of the ways that I've come up with, there's many different ways you can challenge yourself to do this, or one of the areas that I just like to do is just to get my interest re-perked about the Word. We talk about revival, we talk about this kind of stuff, and we cannot be revived and everything if we're just sitting. If we just church is the only time we get the Word, and this is the only time we're excited about it. If we go home and turn on the television and watch a show or a movie or a game, you kind of lose all that you just heard. So we need something that keeps our interest sparked in the Word. I think it's very important. And this isn't just some little gimmick or thing to use, but it is a tool that you can get. So here we go. One of the areas that I like to do to help spur this along is start with something very common. So how many of y'all can tell me, just throw it out there, the most common quoted verse in the New Testament? Philippians 4:13, John 3:16. All right, you got those. You can take those portions of Scripture, or those references rather, and you can plug them in and go through the New Testament and look it up. What I do is I commonly use John 3:16 because everybody knows that reference. They know it along with the verse. And the verse is very well known, but the reference is also well known. A lot of Scripture we know, but not as much Scripture do we know the Scripture with that reference so common as John 3:16.